I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My father-in-law slid a crisp envelope across the Thanksgiving table like it was just another plate of food, and inside were divorce papers for me. My heart froze, my hands shook, and the room spun. How could this happen on a day meant for family, love, and gratitude? And then, I noticed another envelope, one I wasn't supposed to see, sitting beside the mashed potatoes, and what was inside turned everything I thought I knew upside down. Before we dive into this story, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the full journey of betrayal, shock, and the justice I had to fight for. My name is Vesper, and I'm 34. I always believed family was sacred. Your safe place, your anchor. Thanksgiving used to feel like magic, a day where I could forget the stress of work and just sink into the warmth of my husband's family. My husband, Aaron, had always been the golden son. Charming, reliable, the kind of man you'd trust with your life. And I had trusted him until that Thanksgiving. The morning started like any other. The house smelled of roasted turkey, pumpkin pie, and cinnamon. I laughed with my sister-in-law about old college stories, sipping on my glass of wine, feeling like life was finally on my side. My father-in-law, Richard, always had that commanding presence, the kind that made people automatically lean in when he spoke. But that year, there was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before, something sharp, calculating. I brushed it off, assuming I was reading too much into it. Aaron came up to me, kissing my temple, whispering, "It's going to be perfect today, Vesper. Just relax and enjoy." I smiled, clinging to that assurance. We sat at the long dining table, the chatter of family filling the room, the clinking of silverware, the laughter that always made me feel safe. Then, like a lightning strike in broad daylight, Richard cleared his throat, and the air grew heavy. He slid an envelope across the table to me. Just slid it. No warning, no apology, no small talk. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. The paper inside bore words I never imagined I'd read, divorce papers, with Aaron's signature faintly visible. I felt my chest tighten, my vision blur, and I couldn't speak. Everyone was watching me, and I wanted to scream, to collapse, to disappear. But I stayed frozen, gripping that envelope like it was a life raft in a storm I didn't even know I was in. Aaron looked at me with an odd mix of guilt and helplessness. "Vesper, it's complicated," he said softly, but his words were meaningless. Complicated? Betrayal wasn't complicated. Betrayal was crushing your heart into 1,000 pieces while pretending to care. I wanted to ask why, to demand answers, but my voice refused to come. My mind raced, replaying every moment, every conversation, every laugh we had shared. Was it all fake? And then I noticed it. Another envelope. Smaller. Thicker. Sitting where my best friend Lily usually kept her wine glass. I knew Lily had come over to help me with Thanksgiving prep, and she was usually chatty, silly, lighthearted. But that envelope had her name on it. My curiosity pried my hands toward it, my instincts screaming that this was important. Inside, I found something that made my blood run cold. A series of messages, photographs, and confessions that revealed the truth my father-in-law desperately wanted to hide. Aaron wasn't the only one betraying me. My so-called best friend had been part of the plan, feeding him secrets, keeping him informed of my every move, everything I trusted her with, everything I confided in her, all used to manipulate me, to corner me. Tears blurred my vision. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground crumbling beneath me. My stomach churned, a mix of anger and heartbreak so intense I could barely breathe. How had I been so blind? The woman I laughed with, cried with, shared my deepest fears with, had been complicit in this betrayal. The family I had loved, the husband I had trusted, the friend I had confided in, they were all pieces of a trap I hadn't even known existed. And yet, amid the chaos of my heartbreak, something inside me shifted. I felt a spark, small at first, then roaring into a fire. I wasn't going to let this break me. Not today. Not ever. I clenched my fists under the table, tasting the bitter strength of determination. I would find out why. I would fight. I would reclaim my dignity, my life, my peace. And most importantly, I would make sure the people who thought they could control me, humiliate me, and hurt me without consequences, they would pay. That Thanksgiving, everything I thought I knew about love, family, and friendship shattered. But the fragments left me stronger, sharper, and ready to see the truth through to the end, no matter how dark, no matter how painful, no matter how much it would change me. The first betrayal was just the beginning, and I knew deep down the real story, the part that would leave them shocked, humbled, and exposed, was yet to come. I spent the night after that Thanksgiving in a daze, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of the chaos that had invaded my life. The betrayal felt like a storm inside me, relentless and raw. But amid that storm, a plan started forming. I realized I didn't need to beg for answers or wait for apologies. I could take control. I could turn this around. And I would. The first step was gathering proof. Every whispered conversation, every secret message, every betrayal had left a trail. I quietly documented everything. Screenshots, photographs, recordings, pieces of the puzzle that would expose every lie. I spent hours going over them, heart pounding, fingers trembling, but with every detail I uncovered, my anger sharpened, and my resolve hardened. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was focused, determined, quietly calculating the moment when all of it would come to light. Aaron noticed the shift in me immediately. The fragile, compliant woman he thought he controlled was gone. Instead, he saw a storm in my eyes that reflected everything he had tried to bury. I didn't confront him yet. I let him underestimate me. I let him think I was broken. Because when the moment came, I wanted it to hit harder than anything he could ever imagine. The opportunity arrived sooner than I expected. My father-in-law, Richard, had been gloating in private, confident that I wouldn't dare act against him or the web of deceit he had spun. And Lily, my so-called best friend, was too blinded by arrogance to realize that I had pieced everything together. I invited them both to a private dinner under the guise of reconciliation, a final, let's talk this through moment. They arrived, unsuspecting, smiling politely, expecting fear, maybe tears. What they got instead was truth delivered with precision. I started with Richard, letting each document speak for itself. Every note, every text, every secret they had kept from me laid bare on the table between us. His face paled as I read aloud the evidence of his manipulation, the way he orchestrated Aaron's betrayal, the lies he told to everyone. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off with a steady voice, calm but laced with the anger that had fueled me for weeks. Then I turned to Lily. She tried to laugh it off, to play the part of the innocent friend, but I held up her own messages. Proof she had fed Richard information, proof she had lied to my face, proof that she had been complicit in tearing my life apart. Her eyes went wide, panic rising like a tide, and for the first time, I saw her vulnerability, the same kind I had felt in the weeks of heartbreak, only now reflected back at them. Finally, I spoke to Aaron. His guilt was written all over him. He had hoped I would crumble, that I would beg, that I would forgive without consequence. But I was no longer the person who trusted blindly. I told him, quietly but firmly, that I was done being manipulated, done being underestimated, done being the victim. I wasn't seeking revenge for the sake of cruelty. I was reclaiming my life, my dignity, my peace. The realization in his eyes was enough. He understood I had won without having to fight physically. My strength, my composure, my courage, that was my weapon, and it had cut deeper than anything else ever could. The rest of the evening passed in stunned silence. I left the dinner with my head high, my heart heavy but lighter in truth. The betrayal had been exposed, justice served in the most elegant, undeniable way, with undeniable evidence, with unwavering resolve, with the kind of quiet power that leaves no room for excuses or denial. I realized that strength isn't about making them suffer. It's about refusing to let them diminish you, refusing to let their lies define you, refusing to allow their betrayal to claim your future. Weeks later, life returned to a new normal. The people who had hurt me were distant, their power over me gone, their secrets no longer a weapon against me. I rebuilt trust in myself, discovered my own strength, and found peace in knowing that I had faced betrayal head-on and emerged unbroken. I learned something crucial. Betrayal is devastating, but it is also illuminating. It shows you exactly who people are, and it gives you the chance to rise above, to set boundaries, and to live authentically, fiercely, and unapologetically. I still remember the look on their faces that night. Shock, disbelief, helplessness. That memory fuels me, not with anger, but with confidence. I learned that justice doesn't always come in dramatic revenge. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's personal, but it's always satisfying when you reclaim your power and refuse to be the victim. I am Vesper, 34, and I will never again let anyone write my story for me. I choose the pen, the voice, and the life I deserve. If you've ever been betrayed, remember this. You're stronger than you think, smarter than you believe, and braver than you give yourself credit for. And always, always fight for your truth. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a story of resilience, justice, and the kind of empowerment that will leave you inspired and ready to take your own life back.